Mark Bell's PowerCast, sponsored by thepowermagazine.com, howmuchshoubench.net, and BSN, makers of NO Explode. Look for BSN products at bodybuilding.com. Alongside Silent Mike and Jim McD, here's your host, Mark Bell.
Mark Bell.
Holla if you hear me.
Mark Bell, are you here?
I'm here. I'm in the hizzy.
So once upon a time,
I'm in the schnizzle.
Once upon a time, I think it might have been on a very popular YouTube channel.
Your phone?
I know my phone goes nuts whenever I show up in here. You once said I had the world's smallest boner.
That's Jim's phone.
The world's smallest boner, I think, is what you told me.
I did. I apologize. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings.
Well, I did some research.
On boners?
Yeah, Guinness Book of World Records, and right next to Furious Pete on the Guinness World of Records. He's in there all over the place. You see that book?
He's in there for eating dick?
Yeah, I was.
Spotted dick cans of spotted dick.
I was hanging out with your daughter Quinn, just hanging out in your living room of the
know
Slanger Mansion.
Our boy Furious Pete, by the way, sponsored by bodybuilding.com.
.com. He was all over the Guinness.
Whoa.
Guinness Book of World Records.
He kind of almost tressed into that a little bit.
Furious makes me a little nervous. A little bit nervous.
Yeah. He's scary. He can eat a lot of food. He can eat a lot of meat.
He eats a lot of anything. What did he say? 60 Quest bars?
Yep, 60 Quest bars. I don't know how he didn't blow out his colon.
100.
I think he probably did. That's a lot of
that's super,
a lot of fiber.
I think he
super
ate
colon blow.
Yeah, I think he's really good at eating 150 pounds of female.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
She's a cutie.
Yeah, his little girlfriend, or maybe fiance now. Congratulations, Furious. I think it's his fiance. Yeah, she's jacked. She's a CrossFitter.
Damn.
She's
Guys
jacked.
deadlifting big weights and fucking climbing ropes, eating food and getting married and shit.
Eating sausage.
Oh my god.
We were trying to get him to come hang out with us. He's
Dropping
like,
balls.
yeah.
That
Aw.
too.
Eating all kinds of cuttlefish.
Yeah, we're telling him, like, Furious, come
I
hang
like
out and
that.
deadlift podcast. He's like, I might be in South Africa. I might be in France.
Yeah. Oh, I might be abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
What do they say?
Yeah.
Check your pants.
Yeah.
Holiday. I might be on holiday.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Where the hell is it?
How Canadian is that?
Traveling.
Yeah,
is-
everyone says holiday, right? Except us.
He's Canadian.
Yeah,
Traveling.
yeah.
Traveling,
Yeah,
by the way, is
everybody's
gay. Sorry. Traveling is gay.
I'm traveling most of December.
Yeah.
Like
so
a
thank
shitty
you.
basketball player or like a world jet setter?
Just traveling, in general.
All of it.
Yes.
How do I look in your shades?
All the above. You were talking about research.
Yeah,
About
so
boner research.
I was just thinking that you said I had the world's smallest boner. So I think if
You
we
do.
have to analyze that,
anal eyes.
hypothetically
I
speaking,
saw it on a leg press.
when did we leg press together?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You were creeping.
Yep.
So hypothetically, if my schlong was
Or schlort, as the
yeah,
case
was
may
7
be.
inches per se,
The schlert.
or 5.5, whatever the American average is.
Yeah, so you got to take the long out of schlong.
Just a schlort. I got the schlortest wiener.
I have no idea how to spell it. I've never seen it in writing, but
You've never seen it, huh?
yeah, I've never seen it. On the leg press. The leg press.
Yeah,
is
so
where-
I have,
That's my story.
Hypothetically speaking, I have a 7-inch wiener, and you move it, and it bones up to 7.1. That would be the smallest boner ever.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's like not a measurement of the entire thing.
Well, you're measuring the boner, the smallest boner, not the smallest schlong.
We're measuring like the growth.
This is like
so you're,
anatomy.
This is a semantic situation. 'cause
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
You're talking about the delta.
You're
between
a
soft
shower and
hard.
not a
There's
grower.
yeah, I'm a nothing. I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
hypothetically. I'm just saying hypothetically.
I'm a nothing. My dick's a nothing, basically. It's an innie.
I'm all a nothing.
Son of a bitch.
You talked more shit too. I watched the
7-inch wiener. I think
I just
everyone,
said hypothetically.
I know, but I think everyone goes with 7-inch because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
safe spot.
Yeah, they're not like, oh, it's 10. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 10 you'd whip out and
I think-
stick in somebody's fucking butt.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but it's
You'd
true.
be asked to prove 10.
Yeah. You'd hit somebody upside the head with 10. You'd be like, check this shit out, motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do that.
That's the only reason why I wear pants is I got a small dick.
I got tights on now.
I would never wear pants if I had a huge cock.
Yeah, no one would. That's what the guys that wear.
I wouldn't own pants.
But what about the fitness crave now that everybody
I would own
wears
some
tights?
I would own some fucking rugby shorts. And
What
people
do-
would be like, "What is that
Are you
sticking
talking
out of the
about
bottom of his fucking
Kelly
shorts?"
Starrett.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's proud of what he's got.
Yeah, he likes showing off those quads.
Yeah. And his schlort.
I would never wear a shirt if I looked like today's guest.
Hey now.
Yeah,
Jim
what's that guy
Stoppani.
doing?
Jim Stoppani's pretty jacked.
His email says James. I was so confused. I was like, we have the
he's
wrong
a-
guest on.
He's a doctor.
Yeah, we have the wrong guest on.
He's a doctor. He's got to act all proper. He's
Yeah,
gotta
PhD.
He's got to be James for a little while.
Let's call him Dr. Pex.
We were when we were at bodybuilding.com, we were talking to our boy Rep It Rich at Rep It Rich on the Instagrams. That's the only way we know people around here is through the interwebs. God forbid we ever actually.
Yeah, we don't know their real name either.
God forbid we ever actually know people on a personal level.
That'd be a waste of time.
Yeah, but Rep It Rich said something great. We were talking about supplements, and he just said, people need something to believe in.
Yeah, we were talking about
And,
why do people many people go to bodybuilding.com to buy supplements?
It's so simple. You do need something to believe in, and that's what we're going to talk to Jim Stoppani about today. We're going to talk to him a lot about supplements, since he's kind of the supplement guru, supplement doctor. And we can kind of get to the bottom of some of this, because as long as I've been doing this stuff I'm pretty confused by it. I love supplements. I've been taking a lot of supplements for many, many years. I've tried out all different kinds of things. And there's some supplements that I've kept in my repertoire for long periods of time. Protein powder has been on the menu for a long time. Substituting some sorts of fat. Olive oil isn't necessarily like a supplement, but olive oil, coconut oil, fish oil, those kinds of things. Supplementing, I guess, my diet with some types of fats, and then also just the protein powder. Creatine over the years, branch chains have become, insanely popular. I've been doing that for about 10 years or so, and just a couple other things here and there. Vitamin D3 is something I'll pick up here and there. And just, vitamins in general. You catch a cold or something like that, and all of a sudden your brain tells you, hey, fuck, I think I need vitamins. And I don't know why that happens. I guess we're just...
You're sitting awfully close to me
we're
today.
Just inundated with...
I don't know if you guys are watching on video or podcast, but...
Our guest is right here.
You're half on my lap.
Here
Things are getting
there,
weird.
And there's Chipotle back there.
Yeah, he's going to break my neck just looking at you.
Yeah, we got some Chipotle right here.
I should have ordered. I didn't know that this was lunch. I thought we were going somewhere.
Oh, no, I got a deadlift. I got to deadlift my brains out.
I thought there was enough time between...
Maybe, but I'm going to start warming up.
I got to get back to the fucking... you just try to get some pussy, and then you get roped into all this fucking family bullshit.
Wait, what?
God
You
damn.
got some family stuff tonight?
Yeah. Where, you ever just sit there and think, like, I am so fucked?
Yeah. Well, you have
Or
to.
unfucked. I'm unfucked. Yeah, you're just thinking, I am so unfucked.
Yeah, I'm not married. I'm
I
never
love
going to get
I
married.
love the goddamn kids and shit, but fuck.
But
man,
Andy,
you start
she's
to get
really...
the whole- start to get the whole family involved.
It's the whole marriage thing that's a real drag on the lifestyle.
Yeah. You get the whole family, and it's great seeing everybody, but motherfucker.
But your family, it's a little different. I mean, I don't know, but they live here. So you see them anyways. It's a little different if they're on the other side of the country
That's
and you
true.
only see them for Thanksgiving. Maybe
Right.
that's a little more exciting.
That's true, and it's some of my family is here, but it's not
Yeah.
my family.
Yeah.
But
It's
it
Andy's.
is my family.
Yeah.
now, so-
But all your
That's
real
the thing.
family's still kind of in Poughkeepsie's.
Yeah, but
Snooki, cousin
you
Snooki.
guys know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I don't. I think you guys could
Well, look,
vicariously
you're in
live
the
through
beginning
me.
stages
No,
of
no,
a
no, 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 no.
relationship, and you get fucking roped into all kinds of shit.
I do, but I'm not.
You're like, I
I'm
just
never
want
getting
some
married.
shit on the fucking side,
No, I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want some easy access to some fucking pussy. Now I got to meet your mom
Some
and your
kinda-
fucking sister and your brother and fucking hang out with everybody.
You're looking
Yeah.
I don't
for
want to talk to
sex-
your fucking uncle
Well, as loud
about
and like.
how he needs to lose fucking burn fat and shit.
Yeah.
Fucking hey, man.
Yeah, green tea extract.
Jesus Christ, you're
You're
just
looking
trying
for
to get some of that
sexual
sideways
Yeah.
pussy.
Well, they
Cuttlefish.
Sexual Chipotle.
I have two things to say, and they're both blowing up my face.
We wonder why we don't have any sponsors
Yeah, no.
on this show. You guys
We
are
do.
But we-
disgusting.
We
There's a whole rocket
Yeah,
of our...
yeah.
Caveman Coles, Bones
This
Jones,
shit's got me going crazy. It's got me lit up today. My
BSN, which is
can't
upsetting
even
me.
sit still.
BSN's pissing me off. All I need is some grape aminos, and they've been
They're
sold out
blown
for like
out.
3
Well,
months.
because they taste good.
They're so good.
They are pretty good.
Back to the family thing.
Oh, grape amino X?
Yeah, amino
yeah,
X.
during
So
the
good.
holidays.
Yeah. So
During
this
the
family
holidays.
thing.
Bring everybody together.
Well, all of us are like pretty loud in general in our personality, but that's when we're like totally in our comfort zone, like on this podcast or like
Sorta,
in the
yeah.
gym,
Yeah.
but like in a random bar or like a random party or like family. Like Jim's a little more reserved in general than you and I.
Yeah.
We're kind of dickheads, but I totally shut down and stuff like that. Like
yeah.
Christmas with my family, I just sit on the couch and just like watch everybody. Maybe like have a fucking whiskey and try to
I was gonna
become
say, and
social.
drink.
Yeah, that's like the only thing.
Liquor was made for family gatherings.
Yeah, like
Oh,
I hate
yeah.
drinking and I hate being
Yeah.
social, and I love my family, and I know them decently, but it's
If
just
you,
all awkward.
If you drink, it changes the game. It's a game changer.
Yeah, it is.
You're like, I love you so much. You're wonderful. Your daughter's the best.
There's a difference between loving your family.
Saying it just
Mark's
like
just
that,
getting
too.
hammered at family.
Yeah.
There's a difference between loving your family members and liking them.
Yeah,
and wanting
yeah.
to spend time with
Yeah,
them.
I think
too.
that's the truth. Is I
that's
like no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one on the planet.
We're not even comfortable with ourselves still.
No,
you know?
look how close you're sitting
We
next to me.
fucking hate each other. Not each other, but
and then the other
ourselves.
thing, when you were talking about Rep It Rich saying everyone needs something with supplements, it's so true, and I think it's true for supplements because there's like a mystery, right? You take this little pill, it's got white powder in it, you have no idea what's in there, rather than like even with sneakers or shorts, you know, like Jordan's new shoes, like you're gonna jump 6 inches higher. You want to buy those because you're like, maybe they will. Like, I'm all right, they won't, but maybe they will. Supplements, you have no clue.
Maybe they'll work for me.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't work for everybody else. Maybe they'll work for me.
Give a shout out to Bo Jackson real quick. We got to talk about him for 5 seconds. That's all.
That's a bad motherfucker.
That's all for today, Bo. We'll be having you on the podcast at some point. We just keep talking about him. Hopefully, it'll happen.
Yeah, him and Ali.
If you build it, it'll come.
Shout out to anybody who knows Bo Jackson.
Yeah, Bo Jack.
Yeah, let's network.
Anybody from fucking Auburn in this bitch? No.
No, I'm not.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, let's call our guest. This is just bullshit.
Well, he's not online yet, so
we're waiting for him.
Yeah, we're
Stoppani!
So just keep talking. Like,
I was just calling like.
Stoppani.
Yeah, we should ask him. Doc Stoppani.
Let me check my shit. See if he's like.
You need to check your shit before I wreck your shit. Your brother's just hiking around the gym doing nothing.
I think they left.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I don't think they have a car. They're screwed. Oh, they went for a walk. I was going to Slingshots at Mark's house the other day, and I'm driving up through a pretty main road in Davis, California, and I just see somebody waddling down the street.
It's Borg
doing his cardio, getting his work in.
Yeah, doing that work.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Hitting the goddamn streets.
Yeah, I was gonna pick him up. I was like, "Where's he going?"
To
I was
the
like,
streets.
"Yeah,
hitting the pavement, trying to get his
Hit
walk
the bricks.
trying to get jacked." Trying to get
Yes,
tan. He was just on Access TV, MMA, Inside MMA, with Bas Rutten. It was pretty cool. I checked it out a little bit. I recorded it. He was on there with Chris Lieben promoting Prescription Thugs. Chris Lieben, I believe, is in the film.
I believe that's correct.
To some extent, I haven't seen anything on it besides a tiny little trailer. But it was cool. They were just talking about drugs and drugs.
And drugs
prescription drugs.
Yeah, but hopefully that suckers.
Painkillers, I think, was a lot of it.
It's mostly painkillers, I believe. Chris Lieben talked a little bit about just being 100% on them all the time, and something about missing a fight because he was just so out of it. He was just high off his fucking rocker.
Well, you know, we really do make people addicted to shit for one reason or another. Talking about my boy Will, who was home for a week, and he has another surgery coming up that actually just got pushed back again, but they have him on a bunch of pain medication, and they don't want to bring it down until after that surgery.
Yeah.
And
that's just such a long period.
Didn't travel with enough, so he was basically sick the whole time.
Just having withdrawals. Yeah.
It's like, what? This is something that doctors are doing on purpose.
Yeah, it's
doing
crazy.
it on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't look for alternate routes.
I don't know. They stop you cold turkey.
Well, what keeps happening too is that these drug companies are trying to produce things that are harder to abuse through, snorting it or injecting it, but they're producing these long-acting pills.
Like time released or something?
Yeah, time released, but it doesn't keep you from taking too many of them.
Yeah. That's everything, right?
Right.
People go nuts off.
Yeah.
Overdose.
We need a different approach than opiates.
Yeah. Maybe good fats. We need to talk about good fats today.
Go for it.
No, not right now with Dr. Peckdeck.
with
Dr.
the doctor.
Peckdeck.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, he's jacked.
Communicate.
I was trying to get some info on him. I think they said he's about 240. If you guys don't know, look him up. We'll probably have some pictures on the.
Is he in like muscle
video
and fitness
version
and stuff like
that?
Yeah, he's been with bodybuilding.com for a few years now.
I believe he's a doctorate in exercise science, and then he did a bunch of research at like Yale.
Damn.
A bunch of shit. So we'll have to talk about that, and that had something to do with diet, nutrition, supplementing, and working out, affecting your genes.
Exercise science is his main.
I think that's his background. Yeah.
Yeah, his main thing.
And then he moved in. I think in some ways he's kind of like us. Is he just put out a shit ton of content, just always writing, always videoing. He did Muscle and Fitness. He was hooked up with. I read somewhere that like every little workout example, for the last 10 years you get out of Muscle and Fitness somewhere may have came from him. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, regardless. Everybody's grabbed a magazine and done a workout out of it. Mark said he used to do that shit all the time.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think that's all that anybody used to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, why not?
When did people start writing
or
programs? Ebooks.
Last 10 years, maybe, or less. Last 7. When did 531 came out? Probably about 10 years ago, yeah.
No, I don't think that wasn't that long ago for sure.
I did it like 5 years ago, and I
was
wasn't
gonna say,
so cutting edge.
about
Maybe I
when it
was.
came out. Yeah.
Maybe I was more cutting edge
think
than I
so.
thought. God,
You're on the edge.
I am.
On the edge of your seat.
That's a great program. You just do that forever.
531.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it works.
It works. Look how jacked I am.
Might as well do what works.
I wish I had it. Damn it! I printed it out and didn't bring it with me. I had a letter from the wife of a very avid fan of ours who was thanking us for changing her husband's whole life.
I read something like that. Maybe it was a different one.
This is like the last 2 days.
Oh, maybe not.
She's trying to buy something for him.
I love that shit.
Yeah. I'm trying to buy something, have it signed for him. But it was like he follows what we're talking about, and
Follow
we're not
all this bullshit that we say.
and we're not really. We don't talk about specific programming
Right.
most of the time.
Yeah. Just a mentality of going about it.
Yeah,
we
That'll
had
get you everywhere.
We had our live studio audience here the other day. That was cool.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
That guy came in and got a autographed hat from all of us.
Yeah, drove
and,
about 2 hours, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and stayed for the podcast. He just hung out. I showed him the gym. He was all excited. He got goosebumps when I showed him the gym. He was
Yeah.
like, "This is fucking unbelievable."
Yeah, his wifey all tweeted us later. It was cool.
Yeah. This doesn't mean that people should show up at the studio.
Yeah, you're uninvited. He
Find
prearranged
us
that.
if you can.
Yes, he prearranged,
Dum,
and
dum,
there are probably certain circumstances in which, as a prize or something, we could bring somebody in, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, for $100.
For $100.
$100 and a Chipotle burrito.
$100 is good, but
That's
I'd
pretty
do
good.
it. I'd do it for 10.
Yeah, you're pretty cheap.
I'd cut him a fucking deal.
10% off.
We're just waiting for Mr. Stoppani to hop in here, but perhaps we should take a little bit of break until we figure out what the fuck's going on.
I just need to rant for a moment.
Yeah, go off. People love Jim's rants. I read one of the comments on YouTube or something. They're going nuts. Like, yeah, Jim, get angry.
About, what we've talked about, the fact that the toilets here at the gym are not set up yet.
Subpar.
They are not set up for what we're trying to do here, which is poop massively. And one of the guys put on Facebook, we have a secret Facebook group that you're not invited to, asking.
Yeah, we need to kick more of those guys out.
If it was
especially
okay
this guy.
If it was okay to poop at the gym yet, and I said no. But really, what I really should have said was that the artificial plant that has been brought into the quote women's restroom here at the gym
can be shit in all day.
Yeah, it can be shit in all day. You can take a shit in that thing. I thought that somebody's grandma died, and
It's weird. It looks like a lollipop or something.
it does.
Strange
It's a little topiary plastic.
I mean, especially for being
rose
fake,
bush.
you figure it would look like if it was real, then you'd be like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Someone at least trimmed it into something, but it's
Some
fake
trim.
and it
Yeah,
looks.
we like some trim.
It's fake and it looks weird.
Yeah.
You know? You're like,
A
what
shaved
the-
bush in the women's
Yeah.
bathroom is what you want?
Well,
There is.
trim-
That's what it is.
It's a
a
trim.
shaved
It's a
bush.
trimmed one.
So anyway,
It's not
I
waxed.
don't understand it. I don't get it.
I don't know what
I
we're
don't
doing.
get it. All right. So if we want to, now that I've, he's online.
Yep, he's here. He's here.
Oh, hello.
Jim Stoppani, ladies and gentlemen, he just walked inside the building.
Just walked inside the computer.
Yep, he looks great.
All right.
Wow.
Should we still take a break to get him online?
I don't think so. I think we should fucking pull the studio audience into it. The live studio
All
audience.
right.
that's
Well,
here and the
if you will touch
millions listening at
if
home.
you will touch his picture there just with your finger.
touch his pecs.
Is that a touch screen?
Yep.
I need a computer.
Oh my god!
My computer's from the 80s.
And then hit the call button.
Yeah. Hit the video one and see if that works.
Plink. Oh, what if he gets to see me? Hey now.
He
guess I
should
need
get
to
to see you.
fucking move over.
Move over.
Why is he naked?
Oh yeah, how come you're not naked? What's going on there, Jim?
I forgot. No, this is just a big tattoo.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be naked, like the photo that we have of you that we put up earlier today.
Nice.
So what's going on? Where are you living at? It looks pretty nice. Are you in Cali too?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh fuck, cool. You're not
Yeah.
too far from us. You're gonna have to come up here to Sacramento sometime.
Yeah, I get up there every once in a while. I have
Check out
friends
the
up
gym.
here.
What's that? An East Coast accent?
Yeah.
Fucking A, you're an idiot just like me.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
Connecticut.
Oh, okay, cool. So we got a bunch of fucking questions to get to with you today because we're not used to having people that are smart on here. We're used to having powerlifters, and powerlifters don't know what's going on. So we figured, since you're a doctor, that we would get into it a little bit. So we got a couple, basically just just typical supplement questions that you kind of get all the time. But question number one, and this is from a fan of yours. He says, with you being a doctor, how come you put out so much bullshit on the internet and through the magazine's publication? So you might as well clarify that first, because that seems like a really important question to get to.
That is a good question. Depends on what they call bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because some people claim that I do a lot of they call bro science.
Oh, right.
But yeah. I'm one of the more educated experts, in the field.
Right.
I have a real PhD from one of the universities,
right, yeah.
exercise physiology. I did a real postdoc at Yale School of Medicine. And I was an award-winning scientist there. I'm not trying to blow,
of course.
But it makes me laugh, and all these people go, "Oh, he's talking a lot of bro science." And I'm like, it's hard to find anyone who has the academic background that I have. But what they don't realize is that a lot of what happens in the gym is more important than what happens in a lab.
Right. Yeah, that's just very true. So, along with a PhD, you have a black belt in bro science.
Exactly. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, before any of these questions that I wanted to study came up, they came up in the gym, and most of them just confirm what we've always been doing. And a lot of times you don't even need to confirm it if it's working, because we know it's working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's all you're doing. All the studies are for, right? All the studies are always to kind of to give you concrete evidence is really what you're looking for on something that you probably already kind of knew. In a lot of ways.
But a lot of times the research isn't that concrete, because research is very limiting on what you can do. You can only, you look at all these studies that say, they found that creatine really didn't work in this group. And then you look at the training that they actually had, and the researchers had no idea how to, put together a real training protocol. And so they took trained lifters and basically detrained them on, this half-ass workout program. So, there's a lot of variables that people don't realize when it comes to science. I like to look at the science, but then I want to take it to the gym, and I want to see it work in the gym over and over and over and over again before we say, well, this works, that doesn't work.
What do you think of something like post-workout nutrition? Obviously, a lot of us would agree you can go home and eat. But sometimes that's not the quickest thing to do or the most convenient thing to do. It may take 2 hours by the time you get home, by the time you cook, and so on. Or I guess another option would be to just bring food to the gym. But what do you feel about supplementation post-workout with something like branched-chain amino acids, maybe like a hydrolyzed whey protein? Do you feel like that's effective? Do you feel like that's something that's really going to post some gains?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'm a firm believer in post-workout. Pre-workout as well, pre-workout nutrition and post-workout nutrition. There's a lot of debate over the post-workout window, whether it really exists. But, this is one of those things that's really hard to study, because you have to have the right athletes. You have to have the right training programs. And, you have to be able to compare it to something. But what I've seen, over many, way too many years than I'd like to admit, working with, thousands and thousands of athletes, that it's critical. It's absolutely critical to get that protein and carbs post-workout. It's the quicker the better, and sometimes it's more a convenience factor of, getting a protein shake with some easy carbs. Protein shake is the easiest way, but it's also one of the best ways, because there's nothing more anabolic than dairy protein. We know that. And, what the research is now showing is that, we used to think that whey was the absolute ideal protein source post-workout because it's fast. And yeah, whey is very critical because it is so fast. But whey's speed also limits its ability to maintain that protein synthesis. So what the research is now showing, and what I've been seeing in the gym, is that when you take a blend of digesting casein protein, it elevates your protein synthesis, or it keeps you in that anabolic state for longer.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting. So basically, you're just trying to have people recover as quickly as possible from the workout, and it's affordable enough for most. It's convenient enough, so why not fucking do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is, people will debate whether you need this supplement or that supplement around workouts or not, or whether you can take them at other times of day. But, when are you most about your supplementation? It typically tends to be around workouts, not when you're sitting at work or, you're going to school or something, bringing them all, along. You typically, when you're going to train, pretty much it's fairly consistent every day. So if you focus on getting those supplements at those time points, it's effective and it's convenient.
Something I always liked about supplementation is the fact that it just keeps you regimented. Hopefully if you're falling in line with your pre and post workout, hopefully you're just kind of embracing the entire thing, and hopefully you're getting hydrated enough. Hopefully you're getting enough sleep. Hopefully you're kind of just in tune with your nutrition and your plan for lifting and so on. So hopefully when you do take those supplements, hopefully it's kind of driving you and motivating you to stick to some sort of plan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't have a shitty diet and take supplements to make up for it. So the person who is a little more concerned about their supplementation is also going to first be more concerned about their diet to begin with. And like you said,
right,
kind of keep you more regimented. If you
get some of these other guys in here on a question. Mike, you got something?
Hey, Doc, this is Salah Mike. Correct me if you're wrong, or if I'm wrong, but your doctorate was in exercise science. And then you did some post-doctoral work at Yale. How did you kind of become the supplement guy?
How did I become the supplement guy?
Yeah, on the internet, a lot of kind of go to you for all supplement questions.
Well, I did my master's focusing on sports nutrition. I actually studied medium chain triglycerides back, when was that? Early 90s.
Oh, wow.
So, and then when I was at University of Connecticut, I was in charge of doing all the diets for the subjects. So I have a fair nutrition background. I had a minor in nutrition when I was as well. So study a lot of nutrition, and at Yale we did a lot of work on nutrition as well as exercise and how it affects and regulates genes and muscle tissue.
Yeah, perfect balance.
Interesting. You said you brought up the MCT oil. That's something that I've been taking for many years. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was maybe Twin Lab made it 900 years ago. I think that maybe the name it was Captri, or maybe that was the company that was making it at the time. It was years and years and years ago, and I've been on a keto style diet for.
Remember John Perillo?
Yeah. Yes, I don't even know if that dude's still around. I think that guy did a little bit of powerlifting and bodybuilding, right? He did a little bit of both, right?
He promoted the MCTs way back, and geez, that was the 80s,
right?
Or early 90s. And what's funny is that coconut oil is now, which, the reason coconut oil is so popular is, it's a rich source of medium chain triglycerides.
Yeah, it's interesting how that whole thing has kind of just exploded. What do you think of the effectiveness of medium chain triglyceride? Do you think it kind of serving the purpose that people think it's serving? What are your thoughts on it?
Like I said, I've studied them, and I personally do not use them. Is using coconut oil a bad idea? No. I mean, they definitely have benefits. Whether or not it's a benefit is still questionable.
You're probably not using them though, because do you follow a lower fat diet, or do you follow a moderate fat diet? What kind of diet do you follow?
No, I eat about half my body weight in grams of fat.
Right.
So,
you get that through food, or you supplement through oil? Mainly
food.
Yeah, I mean that's
easy.
It's a more fun way of it's a more fun way of getting in the amount of fat. And if you do a keto style diet, then you might have to supplement with some oils. Mike's got a question about the pump. He's big on getting the pump.
Yeah, what's going on with the pump? We see so many people and thousands of supplements out there, articles, this and that, chasing the pump. When, in my opinion, or what I found is just training hard kind of gets it done. We're powerlifters, so we train pretty low reps. We don't really always get a pump, and I still feel results from that. But everyone's chasing a pump in the gym and supplementation wise. What are your thoughts on kind of that achievement? Is it necessary?
Well, before I sort of answer that, let me just remind everyone that, we know very little about muscle physiology. Everybody claims, muscle grows by, damaging and then, recovery. Yeah, that's one of the ways. And then there's this greater than protein breakdown. That's another way. But we know so little. We really don't know shit about muscle growth at this stage in the game. People
Thanks,
try to
Doc.
claim, they've got, no, we really don't. There's so many, factors involved. And when you change one thing, you think, it's myostatin. Let's focus on decreasing myostatin. And even when they do that, you still get the results that they expected. And then it's like, well, what the hell else is going on? Because something is in there. It always wants to limit the growth of the muscle because it's just not efficient. So, there's things like microRNAs that actually, even though protein synthesis went up, are now breaking down all that protein that just got built up. So like I said, so before I answer, is the pump important? Sure. Do you always want to train for a muscle pump? No. Mechanical overload is obviously, for muscle growth, I'm a firm believer in reaching muscle failure. So yeah, in a muscle pump, because there is some evidence that when the muscle is a higher volume, it places a stretch on the muscle cell membrane, and there's receptors there that are supposed to then enhance muscle protein synthesis. But like I said, these are all a lot of theories. And some people report seeing great. They chase the pump. I certainly don't train to chase the pump. Most of my programs are designed to sort of hit the middle ground for everyone, meaning you get stronger, you gain muscle, you gain muscle endurance. They sort of, give everybody the best of sort of all worlds there. I'm not a power lifter. I don't work primarily with power lifters. I don't work with the average guys who just want to see results.
Guys that just want to get jacked.
Yeah, exactly. And they want to get stronger and bigger,
You mentioned mechanical overload. Speaking of that, have you ever tried a slingshot?
I have. You sent me one.
Son of a bitch. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of it? Piece of shit.
Yeah, no. John Hardesty is the one who turned me on to it as well, because he was raving about it. So
yeah, we just visited him. We just came from bodybuilding.com, and they said they tried to get you to move to Idaho, and you said fuck off.
Yeah, not leaving LA.
Yeah. You said no, it's not. It's not happening. I'm not doing that. But they did mention, that your products sell very well through the website, and it's because of the content that you provide. And what I find really awesome is that you provided the content for years and years. I believe your supplement company has probably started just within the last several years. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not even a year and a half.
Yeah, so I mean, before that, you were doing all this work beforehand, pumping out tons and tons of content, which is really great because, you hear so many people want to kind of attack the people that are on the front lines, giving out the content or, putting out the content in various forms, articles, videos, and so on. But then when it comes to get somebody to speak or write an article, it's kind of like pulling teeth. You're not going to really get them to spit out the information. So I think that's really great that you were kind of on the front lines there pumping out that information. And it's cool that you got rewarded for it by people investing in your supplements. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. And because if you look back at those articles, you can see the formulas in my products that now are produced, years
It's
ago.
an evil genius plan you had going for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking awesome. Awesome marketing.
10-year overnight success.
Yeah.
I really, if you told me even 3 years ago that I had a supplement company, by 2013, I would have laughed because that was really never my intent.
Yeah.
But I was mixing all my own stuff for myself and for clients, and it tastes like shit when you have a variety of products.
You got to a point where it made sense for you.
Yeah, I started making little mini batches for myself and for clients, and then more and more people wanted them. And
sprinkle in a little Anavar in there. Get the clients to be as successful as possible, right?
That's the good old days.
That's awesome.
We drink a lot of caffeine around here, just mostly just because we're stimulant junkies.
Couple grams of the day.
Just coffee, White Monsters, energy drinks, NO Explode, anything we can get our hands on. I've read a couple of your articles, and you're a pretty big fan of caffeine, yeah? What's your reasoning, and why do you put it in most of your programs or diets?
Well, there is some data looking at performance with caffeine that's very positive, and it's people want to condemn it, but when you look at the research, there's actually a lot of health benefits from both caffeine and coffee as well. There are many antioxidants and other ingredients in coffee, if you will, that have numerous benefits. They actually can reduce the risk of diabetes, as new research is showing, reduce the risk of certain cancers. And even caffeine has been found to have those same similar benefits. And people who get older have less cognitive decline that are coffee drinkers or caffeine users. So I'm a believer in
we're fucking high as a kite right now.
We have a caffeine sponsor. That's how serious it is.
Yeah.
Nice. Of course.
Things are getting wild over here. You got a question?
Yeah, I do. Actually, there's a question that came into my Twitter, Jim. This is Jim McDonald. We just saw a great view of some of the tattoos on your arm there, and you have some great work. And this question was, in the academic world, was that an issue for you at all? Did anyone, I don't know where in your life you got the tattoos, but this question was did you experience any prejudice from the academic world about tattoos? I
used to be all covered up. I've had my tattoos for almost 20 years now, going on almost 20 years. And they're sort of martial art inspired. I was a martial arts instructor, so I spent a lot of time in dojos, and I'd see some of these Japanese guys that come over with the full body suits. When I was a kid, I was just fascinated with that, So, when I was old enough to go out and get it done, I went pretty nuts with it. When I was in academia, which covered up, and even when I was started at Weider Publications, most people that knew me knew, I would wear a button-up shirt, and, typical kind of office wear. And then, eventually I think people just started seeing the tattoos. And then when we started a video series on musclefitness.com website, people saw the tattoos and just kind of loved the sort of dichotomy of it there, that,
right.
This, guy from School of Medicine, absolutely covered in ink. It's sort of, I don't know, it brings you sort of down to, he's not some stuffy PhD guy.
Right,
He's,
cool.
pretty much like one of us. And so that, sort of became my, my thing. So, so now, I still talk at, I'll be invited to, talk at nutrition and those sorts of events. And I typically just wear, a t-shirt or a nice shirt. I don't really cover up tattoos any longer because I'm just known for the tattoos, but I could see how that could be, you could get some prejudice. Although, the nice thing about academia is nobody really gives a shit what you look like.
Yeah.
They really value you for, your brain and what you bring to the table and how much funding you have.
I think that was the answer this person was looking for. I think they were looking for, like permission, license to get as much ink as possible in the academic world.
Don't tell your mom that I told you to do that.
Yeah.
My mom always hated them. And then it was just a few years ago. She lives on the East Coast. She came out and visited me. She goes, okay, I have to admit, they work for you.
Do you feel there's a difference between nutrition for performance versus nutrition for aesthetics?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
So, like nutrition for aesthetics, you could go a little deeper. You can maybe calorie restrict a little bit more. You can maybe pull carbohydrates out a little bit more. But whereas for performance, you can't afford to do that kind of thing, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, you could play around with macros. I think we're realizing that, maybe carbs aren't that critical depending on the athlete. Okay, it used to be that every athlete was just pound the carbs.
Right.
Pound the carbs and then get some protein, regardless of what kind of athlete it was. And now, people realize, well, maybe they should be focusing more on more protein and fats. Obviously, an ultra endurance runner, obviously, carbs are important, but now even the endurance runners are realizing how critical protein is for endurance.
Right. Where do you feel the answer lies in nutrition? People just seem to be so confused about it all the time. If you were just to, obviously it's always dependent upon the individual. But what are some things that you've kind of seen recently, some recent current trends that you think or believe to be true?
Trends that I believe to be true. Well, like you said, I think the individual needs to find what works for them, not just as far as results go, but also what's realistic for them. We all sort of grow up with, sort of eating patterns that we've established from our parents and, just the routine. So, taking someone and saying, okay, you're just going to eat chicken and broccoli all the time. Well, that's, what I mean? So I think, I'm a firm believer in balance and making sure that, you're not really just restricting everything all the time and that, you can eat those foods that you do crave as long as, you have a diet that's working within those foods. You're not obviously eating pizza and donuts all the time, but there's certainly room to fit them in. Maybe not when you're 3 weeks out from a major, bodybuilding or physique type of a contest, but for the most part, I'm really more about balance and finding out, do low carbs work for somebody? Do you want to eat your carbs in the morning or the opposite? Do you want to avoid carbs in the morning, eat your carbs at night? Do you want to do intermittent fasting? These, they work for people, they work for different people. And I think, the best thing to do is to with it and find what works for you as far as results and what you can actually deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. What are some things that you suggest to people when you start working with them? Let's just say it's somebody who wants to, lose body fat. Do you utilize many different styles of diet and try to figure out what's going to kind of stick with them?
Yeah, I try to find out what their diet looks like currently. And then, I take it from a sort of calorie perspective. We get a snapshot of what their calories are right now, because that's sort of balances. Doesn't really matter what they're currently eating for protein or carbs. So I try to get them right where they are with their calories. And then I start playing around with their macros, getting their protein up so they're eating ample amounts of protein, getting enough fats, especially for a male, fat, the research does show that men who eat, a higher amount of fat and get saturated fat, as well as monoinsaturated higher end, tend to maintain higher testosterone levels. So I try to focus on get their protein up and their fats. Most people that come to you on a diet who have no clue how to diet, they're gorging themselves on carbohydrates. You know what I mean? a lot of times not eating, either eating too much fat or eating not enough fat, and typically not eating enough protein for, real performance if they're going to follow my training.
Yeah, a lot of times that's where I usually start with people. I don't do a lot of programming or any of that stuff with too many people, but if the conversation does pop up, I usually just kind of get a feel for where they're at. And if it's somebody like, as you mentioned, if they're gorging themselves, then the conversation is quick. And it's like they'll say, oh, I have six Cokes a day and I have pizza at lunch. I'll say, ditch the Coke, ditch the pizza. Don't eat anything fried. See you later. Because that alone will help them drop a little bit. Obviously, that's not a lifesaver, but something that can get them like headed in the right direction. Exercise a little bit more, you fat fuck, and cut out your fucking sugary shit that you're drinking.
Yeah, and they'll start seeing results, and then they'll be inspired to continue, and then you start working with them. Getting a little more detailed in the diet,
which makes it a mental game at least as much.
Without a doubt. Yeah, exactly. That's the psychology of it is.
I'm a big proponent of like flexible dieting and tracking my food myself. You're pretty jacked, man. What's like your diet look like?
I'm very flexible with my diet, depending on, if I have photo shoots or things like that I'm doing, I might, tighten it a bit, but I'm very, very flexible with my diet. I've been doing this a long time. So
have you been fairly lean most of your life? Have you been fairly lean?
I was a skinny kid,
right?
It's
so it probably allows you a little bit more play than some, right?
Exactly. It's pretty easy for me to stay lean. I could stay 5% body fat year round if I wanted to. I never really go up beyond 6-7% at the most.
Yeah.
And that's, eating, if I want a burger with fries, I'll have a burger with fries. No big deal.
Yeah, you got Photoshop and you can take a couple water pills too, right? Hopefully somebody's helping you out with some good lighting, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, trim some of that shit off for me, all right? I didn't feel like dieting today, all right?
I've seen a huge trend in, kind of YouTube or internet fitness, Instagram, all these social medias of a lot of physique athletes training, at least mainly like a power lifter. I think a lot of that has to do with the mental gratitude of kind of getting success right away, seeing success right away. It takes a long time to grow an inch on your arm, but to get a PR in the deadlift might only take 2 or 3 weeks. What do you think the effectiveness is for power movements for a physique athlete?
I think they're, critical. Obviously the stronger you are doesn't necessarily mean the bigger you are, but the stronger you are, the more overload you can place on the muscle, which, is going to lead to muscle growth gains down the road. So I think it's incorporating, most of my programs, I incorporate, like I said, all the bench press is typically on most of my programs. Just start with the bench press because that's, you're going to do that when you get the strongest, and, I'll do a lot of periodization with that. But then there's also, bodybuilding, some pre-exhaust thrown in there and other variables.
He's trying to do some barbell movements that allow you to handle some real weight.
Exactly.
Like a deadlift is going to allow you to handle a lot more weight than some of the other exercises.
Right. And people, enjoy knowing that, their bench has gone up by 50 pounds.
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, definitely. At least the bench press. Everyone can sort of, that's the one question everyone gets when they realize that you lift weights. How much
you bench?
All day, every day. That's what you get.
Yeah, most of my programs involved, involve bench press, squat, and deads.
You hear so much about creatine. Everyone's just like, creatine works. But, yet when you take it, being a person who has followed the protocol of bigger, stronger, faster, I'm sure you saw the movie. When I take something like creatine, I don't really feel much from it. And that goes for when I was all natty too. But, what are your thoughts on creatine and some of these supplements that people kind of just say, oh, yeah, we know they work, but you're still not really feeling a whole lot?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in creatine. Obviously, there are, responders and non-responders. It's basically, it's sort of based on your own body's production of creatine and how much your muscles.
Right.
For most people, you're going to get some kind of benefit, whether you're a natural athlete or even if you're, using performance enhancing drugs, because it helps produce energy within the muscles. One of the ways that it works. So it's certainly helpful. Like I said, regardless if you're feeling it or really seeing the results, it's
right.
Like I said, it's an important energy provider. So,
what would you say if you had to just pick 3 supplements? What would the 3 be that you think are just should be a staple for just about everybody?
I'd say definitely creatine. Beta alanine looks good these days, and branched chain amino acids.
And what about supplementation of protein powders or anything like that? That would just be a personal preference, depending on how the person eats and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'm a firm believer in getting a protein blend of whey, a fast digesting whey, and a slow digesting casein.
Right.
But that's what milk.
Right. Yeah.
Milk has whey and casein in it. So is it absolutely critical? That's why I didn't even list protein powder in those 3.
Right.
Protein powder sort of is lower on the list because you could technically eat those foods. You're getting a protein powder. It's got, most of the fat and the carbs removed. For somebody who is an aesthetic athlete, that might be important. Someone else, a 15-year-old kid who's 140 pounds and can literally eat anything.
Right.
Drink a few cups of milk.
Right.
Cottage cheese works. Greek yogurt, provides you those dairy proteins. So, obviously, if you're to get enough, a lot of times you do need to drink it. And like I said, it removes some of the fat and the carbs. So, you're focusing more on the protein, but, you could do without it for sure.
I just find it interesting how, we just kind of associate certain words with like health. You think of like an antioxidant. We all just think, okay, well, yeah, antioxidants, that sounds good. But, then you'll hear, they help with free radical damage. And all these different terms get thrown around. And basically, a lot of us, not just myself, but a lot of us just don't know what the fuck any of that really means. So when you boil some of that stuff down, just how important is some of that stuff? Or is it just like, get a balanced diet going and just don't really give 2 fucks about it?
Yeah, what's interesting is now there's a lot of interesting research on antioxidants showing that possibly they might interfere with performance.
Yeah.
And so, but the question is it these are sort of a very few studies, and we really don't know much about it, but it's sort of making everybody think differently about antioxidants and whether you're mega dosing on them or not. Like I said, we really don't know whether
I guess people just get attached to like vehicles to sell, certain products, to sell a blueberry. My in-laws have a blueberry farm. To sell blueberries, it'll say, certain words at the bottom. It's got fiber, and it'll say, antioxidants. And I just find that really fascinating that we automatically just
associate those words with
it's just automatically in our fucking head that's like great, for one particular reason or another,
gluten free. Oh, this is good.
Yeah. And that's been a tough thing to erase out of people's heads, is that gluten free doesn't mean that there's no calories in it. And, the paleo diet really didn't have the intention of you eating paleo cookies all day or a fucking paleo donut. Those are great options for somebody who's sick, somebody who has an issue with gluten, somebody who has a bad reaction from gluten. So yeah, some of that stuff gets to be pretty wild.
It's not a prescription for it. This is not a drug you're taking for
gluten-free ice cream. Yay.
What's your take on artificial sweeteners?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. If you look at the data, I have not seen any solid data at this stage, obviously. But I'm not a person who worries about, whether I have a Coke Zero. I'm not drinking 20 Coke Zeros a day.
Right.
But I'm not really concerned about, aspartame. I'm not really concerned about sucralose at this stage in the game. Like I said, there's really little research showing, at least solid research showing, there's anything harmful when it's taken in typical daily amounts a day. The thing that people get hung up on those words too, on the opposite, like, oh, that's a bad word, that's bad, this is bad, you can't ever have this in your diet ever, like gluten, right? You can't ever. People don't realize how many chemicals ingesting in any single day.
Yeah, right. Especially me.
Your body, is designed to handle those chemicals that you take and get rid of them. When you're getting a mega dose, then it becomes a problem. Like we talked about caffeine. Caffeine is good when it's taken in small moderate doses, but a 10-gram single dose will kill you.
Yeah, right.
One last question here to wrap up, Doc. I know you mentioned fat and that you eat about half a gram per body weight of fat, and you also mentioned saturated fat being important for testosterone production. But what's your take on all these, like good fats, bad fats, eat more of this, less of that? Do you just kind of try to hit a fat goal for the day, or do you really focus on eating avocados or eating coconut oil? What's your overall recommendation?
You're kind of breaking up, but I think I got the main point there. I eat about half my body weight in grams of fat. So the question was, should I focus more on getting total fat or trying to get certain types of fat? Is that
exactly. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I focus more on total fat and eating a variety of foods. I'm a firm believer in eating red meats, olive oil for the monounsaturated, nuts for monounsaturated fats, salmon for the omega-3 fatty acids. Again, the red meat for the saturated fats. Even dairy. I don't recommend eating fat-free dairy. At least getting like a low fat or reduced fat if you're concerned about getting too much fat for the day, but you're going to get good saturated fats there. So if you have a fairly well-rounded, you're gonna sort of fall within those areas without kind of overthinking about it and just making your diet miserable.
Yeah, we see a lot of people like on particularly like Instagram. They'll post up these meals and it seems like their diet is like they're following like multiple diets at one time. It seems like they're almost following like a keto diet mixed in with a bunch of carbohydrates at the same time. You'll see a plate of maybe like Chipotle or something like that, and they'll have beans and rice and chicken, and then there's just like a shit ton of like avocado. And that's why Mike and I bring stuff like that up, because it's like, yeah, that is a quote unquote good fat or a healthy fat, but it's still a lot of extra calories that you're adding in where you probably shouldn't.
A lot of folks on the bacon diet.
Yeah, the bacon train.
Yeah, I mean, that's great if you're not eating that bucket of rice.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, if you're going to get extra healthy fats, well, you got to minimize your calories somewhere else. You might as well make it from the carbs.
Yeah, exactly. Carbs are just easier to eat too. We had Alberto Nunez on here a while back, and he just kind of pointed out, hey, eating 300 grams of carbs is a lot easier than eating 300 grams of protein. And I thought that was an excellent point. It can be difficult sometimes to shovel in that amount of protein.
Yeah, without a doubt. But as long as you're thinking about it from the whole diet standpoint, right, not just sort of focusing on these macros without realizing that, well, now you ate 6,000 calories,
right,
and you trained for 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I know you mentioned that you have to go around 1:00, and so we're pretty much out of time. But you have anything you want to talk about in terms of where people can reach you at, or any of your websites or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, people can reach me. Twitter's the best place to get a hold of me. I honestly try to answer everyone's question there on Twitter. It's just a nice way because I can just do it right on my phone wherever I am. So if anyone wants to get me for more questions, hit me on Twitter, and I'll definitely get back to you. And it's just Jim Stoppani is my Twitter handle.
There we go. Hey, it was great having you on, and I look forward to
pleasure, guys. Anytime you want to do it again, let me know.
Yeah, I look forward to having you on again, and it'd be awesome to get you up here to Sacramento at some point, and we will probably see you at the Fit Expo. Will you be at the Fit Expo in Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We'll fucking see you there, buddy.
Awesome.
All right. See you then.
Take care.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
His voice sounds like he fucking eats bear.
Yeah.
Sounds like he'll fucking kill you.
Yeah, he was great. He was, it's funny because you get these doctors on, or you get these people on that have really, get these people on who have really.
We're dying.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
Mark broke something.
I think I'm still here though.
Yeah, you're on. You're on.
But you get these experts on, and they just end up saying the same thing that a lot of the rest of us say, or say the same things that you would be thinking if you actually just thought about the whole process a lot.
They're a lot more practical and down to earth than you would expect.
Right.
And I think conversationally, maybe they're a little different than the way they write.
Right.
Because you're trying to write in a sort of specific,
you're in a way that
kind of way that people can just follow.
Yeah, you got to make it vague. You got to make it for the masses.
Yeah. Well, you're not. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, you're not writing for people who are going to think.
Yeah. You have to give them a direction.
But you talk for people who think. I don't know.
Yeah, you're writing. When you write, it's got to be almost like in kind of a cone shape, to where you kind of start to narrow everything down to its finest point. Right. You can't continue to keep branching outward over and over again. Otherwise, you'll be writing for fucking hours on end.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a lot of revision in writing and trying to make things more and more and more and more clear. Whereas conversationally like this, you're going to say what you really think. And realize that a lot of people just have to put their own thought and their own effort, their own research into it to decide what works for them.
Yeah, the antioxidant thing was pretty interesting, and I actually, I've said it for years, and I think people think I'm kidding when I say it, but I honestly think that like some rich motherfuckers come across something.
Yeah.
It could be glutamine. They come across a ton of fucking glutamine. And they're like, let's fucking blow this glutamine out. Let's make tons of fucking glutamine. Find out what glutamine does.
Yeah, or what it maybe
does. Yeah, they find one fucking positive thing they can hold on to, and they ride that motherfucker as hard as they can. And I think that's what you've seen with some of these supplements. They pop up, boom, and then they just HMB. Is a huge thing.
It was enormous.
He mentioned, arginine. Like, how great is arginine versus any other type of amino acid? It's probably similar, or probably not that much different, And I know we asked him some questions that were kind of niche. They were, they're kind of just, the healthy fat versus the good fat. And I think it's just important to understand, like, that stuff is small potatoes. That's the stuff that doesn't matter a ton. What matters a ton is that you find something that you can stick to, and you try your best to stick to it. And even if you can only hone it in to about 80%, you should still be making some progress.
Well, and get in shape before you worry about the small things. If you're 100 pounds or 50, 30 pounds overweight, the good fat isn't going to give you the health benefits that you want. Being overweight is going to cause more disease and things. And he kind of said that, like, hit your fat goal. Why hit your fat goal? Because then you can maintain or lose weight on the plan you're on, rather than eating, 100 grams of fat from avocado has no benefits if you can't handle 100 grams of fat.
Sometimes people are worried about the last 5 pounds when they need to worry about the first
What did
50,
you say, Mark? People spend 90% of the time worried about 5% of the shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
God damn, you're way smarter than you look.
I know, it's a lot of math, isn't it?
Let's just sign off, and maybe we'll fucking get boring here.
Should we get out of here?
Boris to death?
Yeah, Boris.
Should we fucking eat some Boris?
Boris
Shaiko.
Should we eat some
He made an app. Did you know that? Boris Shaiko?
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he made an app. Bryce Lewis reviewed it on YouTube. I watched a little bit. It just seems too boring. Like Shaiko or whatever is a cool little like program, high volume, high frequency, but I don't want to look at my phone. Actually, I love looking at my phone. Who am I kidding? But I don't want to do a workout app.
Yeah, all that stuff.
And it's like $15.
I don't know, man.
It's like an ebook.
I don't know about all those percentages and shit, man. I think the truth is you got to figure out how to fucking work out for yourself. That's
no, for sure.
That's the goddamn ugly truth of it. But just back to what we were saying, in terms of just, making progress and just trying to follow any of these like supplement recommendations and just simple shit. Make sure you're working out, make sure you're working out 4 days, a week, and make sure you're doing some sort of cardiovascular if your goal is to drop body fat, just simple shit.
And if you stall, work out one more day or take away more food. It's literally that simple.
Right. If you're not making progress, work harder. You know, if you feel like you're overworked, then fucking take a break.
Yeah. Sleep, hydrate, repeat. Gym Tan Laundry.
Gym Tan Laundry.
You can find me at Silent Mike with 2 Ks.
Multiply your muscle, multiply your hustle.
You said it backwards. Multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle. I think you said it backwards.
Did I?
Yeah, fucked you up, man. You don't even know your own sign off.
It doesn't matter. Either way, you're fucking multiplying something.
And you hate math and you're multiplying shit?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing over there, robot?
Multiply your hustle.
There we go.
Multiply your muscle, and may all your shits be tapered.
He's at Mark Smelly Bell all over the place. I'm Jim McD, STTV, on Instagram and Twitter. Follow the show on Twitter at STJimSack. May have to change that. And Instagram, Mark Bell's PowerCast. We'll talk to you again.
Bye.
Subscribe to Power Magazine at thepowermagazine.com. If you choose the digital edition, you can catch up on all the great back issues, take your training to the next level with Slingshot products and howmuchyoubench.net, and look for PSN products including NO Explode at bodybuilding.com. Mark Bell's PowerCast is a production of supertraining.tv.